Welcome to Gaillac, one of the oldest wine-producing regions in France on the European cultural route to Vitis, Les Chemins de la Vigne, the paths of wine heritage. The visit starts on the balcony of the tourist office overlooking the River Tarn. On the left lies the ancient Porthanal Quarter and the Château of Foucault, now the Museum of Fine Art, and its surrounding park. You can still see where the locks on the river used to be, which allowed boats to come right up to the foot of St. Michael's Abbey. On the right lies the former port of St. Jacques and the bridge across the Tarn, known as St. Michael's Bridge, which was built in 1939. Your visit continues in the first room of the museum with the exhibition of a mosaic discovered during the course of excavations in 1995. It consists of geometric motifs made from fragments of terracotta and black, white and red glass. The motifs alternate between patterns of squares and diamonds, intertwining lines and peacock feathers. This decoration is very similar to that of 5th century mosaics found in the Toulouse region in the south of France. It is possible that this villa belonged to a certain Gaillacus, whose name was later modified into Gaillac. Alongside the mosaic you can see a group in bronze which used to be the centerpiece of the large basin of the fountain in the Place du Griffel. The sculpture represents 4 lions' heads spouting water at its base. A round urn dominated by a cockerel sits on the square plinth. They are mythological figures standing at each corner representing Silenus instructing the young Bacchus. In the next room, notice the scale model of a barge constructed out of wood, cloth and metal. It is a model of one of the last great boats that used to travel the Tarn from the port of Gaillac, which developed significantly in the Middle Ages and reached the height of its importance in the 19th century before losing out in the final third of the century to competition from the railway. Next to the model is a representation of a brand mark. This was made by heating a metal stamp and branding each of the barrels of wine that left Gaillac with the date that the barrel was checked, here 1766, a fleur-de-lis, symbol of the King of France, and a cockerel which is featured on Gaillac's coat of arms since the Middle Ages. Gaillac wine was called the wine of the cockerel up until the 18th century. Return along the corridor until you reach a panel featured different styles of pruning hooks, known as podder or paude, a tool serving to both prune and cut the vines and virtually unchanged since Gallo-Roman times. Here we demonstrate a variety of carrier for transporting the grapes at harvest time called l'ossemble, in the language of Gaillac. The bunches of grapes are thrown into a wide, oval shallow basket which is then placed on the carrier's head using a combination of scarves and strings knotted together in the form of a ring which is known as le cabezel. This headwear spreads the weight of the basket, making it easier to carry. Further along admire the 18th century plaster chimney piece decorated with a sculpture of a barrel-making workshop. The skill of barrel-making was very important in Gaillac right up to the 20th century. On the right, a figure wearing a bonnet is in the process of setting the wooden hoops into position and bending them using a typical Gaillac tool made in the shape of a hockey stick called a pligadouille. In front of him another man is bent over the staves which he is in the process of cutting. Cross the corridor displaying glassware and mortars and enter an area on your left where you will see 4 large canvases painted by Louis Cabin at the start of the Second World War. The large canvas as you walk up the ramp depicts women and men working in the vineyards in an undulating landscape reminiscent of the right banks of the Tarn. They are carrying the grapes to big wooden crates next to a cart painted blue, a traditional color in the Gaillac area. Now we invite you to leave the rooms in the museum, where the monks actually used to produce Gaillac wine and ensure its sale and distribution, and return to the grand courtyard of the former bishop's palace. Bordered on the south by the Tarn and to the north by St. Michael's Church, the palace buildings were used by the monks from the Middle Ages right up until the Revolution. We invite you to continue your visit of the town and its heritage. See you again soon on the European cultural route to Vitis, Les Chemins de la Vigne, the paths of wine heritage.